Now, the Department of Basic Education has launched a nationwide inter-departmental anti-bullying intervention drive in schools. The department said it would partner with other departments, social partners as well as stakeholders in an effort to curb bullying involving pupils, teachers and sometimes even community members. To elaborate more on this, we are joined by Deputy Minister of Basic Education, Regina Mhaule. Very good evening to you, Deputy Minister. Good to have you with us this afternoon. Now, we know the issue of bullying has once again raised its ugly head in schools around South Africa. As a department, how resolute and vigilant have you been in the past in tackling issues of bullying?
Good evening to you and good evening to all the listeners at home. Bullying is one of the scourge that is troubling the department currently. Yes, last year I would say there was no bullying because last year almost 50% of the time there was no schooling, and even when there was schooling, only half of the learners were at school. But this year, because most learners are at school, we start to experience the issues of bullying. But as a department, what we had, and we still have, we have the National School Safety Framework. And that framework is the one that is helping the schools to follow in order to make sure that schools become places of safety for the children. But the framework alone is not enough. It needs all of us to work together as communities, as departments, and as social partners. So we launched this campaign under the theme of School Safety, Violence, and Bullying Prevention Initiative. That's what we launched yesterday. And we are working with various departments, especially the security cluster departments and the community of communication, especially on the issues of cyberbullying and the entire network bullying that our children are experiencing, and also working with Department of Home Affairs because it's part of the security cluster, SAPS, correctional services, social development, because social development currently is the custodian of the Children's Act. That's why we are working with them, same as well as the Department of Health. So the campaign that we launched yesterday, to me, it was a success because majority of stakeholders were there and they are taking the matter up, and they realize that issues of bullying cannot only be confined to education and at school level. Issues of bullying are there even in communities, but at a school level, we cannot just allow it and say it's a societal matter. Yes, it is a societal matter, but we are inviting all the societal leaders to come and work with all of us together.
Deputy Minister, talk us through the nuts and bolts of this initiative. It is a nationwide campaign, but what exactly are you doing? What form is it taking?
The form that is taking, we come as these 7 departments together, plus all the stakeholders that we have identified, and we're still continuing to identify stakeholders. Like we must work with traditional leaders, we must work with faith-based organizations, we must work with all the organizations of the civil society, so that we treat it holistically. So what we have done and what we're still going to do, it becomes like a road show, a campaign that we are bringing awareness to parents, awareness to communities, awareness to young people themselves. That's why even yesterday we started at a primary school, because we believe that if we push the issues of safety and respecting of one another at a primary school level, then it will help our children as they grow up to respect other learners. Unlike when you see one learner, you think it's an animal. So what we appreciated is to see parents coming on board. They came in numbers even yesterday, and other stakeholders, they came in numbers. Youth organizations, they came, and they are taking this campaign forward even in their sectors where they belong. So we are going to all the other provinces. It's not a matter that is going to be dealt with here in Gauteng, but we identified the hotspot areas. And another spot area, that hotspot area, is around Limpopo in the Spukuni district, and another one is in the Western Cape, around the Cape Flats and Northern Cape. These are the provinces that we are going to prioritize thereafter. But it's not an issue that is going to be handled at DPE level alone. We are going to take it even through MECs. MECs are going to take the same roadshow, same stakeholders at a provincial level, that they take the campaign forward. Because the more we talk, we speak about it, it's one message, different voices. It will change the mindset of our young ones.
You know, Deputy Minister, dialogue is important, communication is important, but I wonder if bullying is recognized as a crime. How is the language that is being framed? What is the language that is being used in communicating exactly what bullying is?
Bullying, yes, bullying is not different from any other form of crime in any society. So, because when you bully somebody,
I guess the message, the question I'm asking, Deputy Minister, is in your communique, do you communicate that bullying is a crime? It's not a nice-to-have behavior, but it is actually a crime.
It is a crime. It is a crime. I can say a crime against humanity, because you bully innocent children. If we can just make an example about the case in Vembe. The child was first bullied in a social media, telling her that she's ugly and whatever, all what they can tell her. And she tried to resist. And ultimately she responded that even if I'm ugly, but I'm brilliant in the class, then they felt offended. That's why now they attacked her. So the crime, that's why we're working with correctional services, because they are the ones that are dealing with matters of justice. And they are the ones who know exactly as to the young ones, how do they bring them before the law. As education and as ordinary citizens, we may not be aware. Like in the case in point, we might say that child has killed the other child. But in terms of the law and justice laws in the country, we'll say, no, he did not kill, but the aggravating circumstances that led to the other child taking her life. And some are not even reported, because there are so many young learners who are taking their lives, and parents will say, we found the child hanging. Because when they report issues of bullying at home, parents don't take it serious. They just say, these are your peers. Are you afraid of them? You are afraid of going to school. Go to school. And even at school, sometimes they don't listen. Now we are saying to parents, listen to the children when they tell you that they are being bullied. At the school level, principal and the school management team and teachers in general will say, listen to them and take that matter serious. And if it has to be reported to the police, let them do so. Same as the learners, we tell them that in the event you are bullied, you report, no one takes this matter serious, go straight to the police. That's why we are working with the SAPS, so that the matter, when the matter is referred, there is a Children's Act that guides the legal processes of the protection of our children. So they make sure that the police understand the act and will act accordingly.
It's understandable how a victim of bullying would be dealt with, in the sense that perhaps psychological counseling, etc., would be put in place for them. But for a young person who is a perpetrator of bullying, what sort of restorative justice or restorative processes would take place for a young offender?
The young offender, like I indicated, that they cannot be treated as criminals in the society. But though the act is criminality in its nature, but they are treated in terms of the law as to how to treat the younger people when having to face the law. And as responsible adults, we must also take care of the perpetrator, because he's still young. He must go and be corrected and come back, and we must find a way of bringing the child back to the society, because as things stand, the society will not accept the perpetrator, but we must also come back to the society like correctional services are doing. They come back to the society, they brief the society and debrief the society on what happened, so that when the young one comes back to the society, she or he gets accepted by the society. We know it's not an easy thing, but because we are responsible for both the perpetrator and the victim. We cannot say because you are a perpetrator that, because some perpetrators, we label them as perpetrators, and if you follow the matter, you find that the perpetrator is a victim also, who has always been persevering and being patient with all what is happening in the cyber, in the social space, but until the child will take even a knife at home or take a gun of the father to go and shoot people, because when you report at home, nobody listens at you. So sometimes they do it in the name of self-defense. That's what I say. We are responsible for both. It's a responsibility of all of us as parents and as the society to welcome them back to the society.
It's quite true what you're saying, Deputy Minister, that it really is a multifaceted and multi-dimensional problem. A perpetrator at times is themselves a victim in a different scenario. But talk to us about the SA Schools Act 84 of 1996, which deals specifically with the code of conduct at schools. Is it quite clear about how bullying ought to be treated specifically by educators and adults within a school?
The Act does not necessarily speak about bullying. It speaks about the safety in general, and bullying is included. That's why when a school develops a code of conduct, they must visit the Act. They must not do anything that is contrary to the Act itself. That's why now we are from school governing body elections. We are busy now conducting the training for the school governing bodies, so that when they develop the code of conduct, they must make sure that the code of conduct is signed by parents as well as learners. And that code of conduct must not be abstract. It must be understandable by both parties, the school and the parents, plus the learners. We are also training the RCLs, the learner representatives, so, to understand the code of conduct and all the effects of bullying. They are undergoing the training now in all provinces and at all districts to be able to talk with their peers and make sure that all learners sign the code of conduct, and they must understand what they have signed for and what are the implications. That's why we need a support from parents, that parents must support their children and know that when you do this, you are breaking the law. I'll emphasize the point that parents must listen to the children as they speak.
Deputy Minister, thank you very much for your time, as well as the intervention that has been launched. It is a nationwide campaign involving several departments, including Home Affairs, prisons, justice, etc., as well as social development, to ensure that communities, teachers, learners, and all the relevant stakeholders are aware of the implications of bullying. That's Deputy Minister Regina Mhaule there from the Department of Basic Education. Thank you very much for your time this evening, ma'am.